What's up, guys? George Morales coming at you, and I was surfing the World Wide Web and came across some interesting home buying questions, and today we're going to be answering all of those. Some of them are interesting, some of them are longer, some are shorter, but stay tuned and hopefully they're helpful for you. We'll get started right away. This one is titled, "The buyer agent did a 180 once I switched from her recommended lender." Ooh wee, this one sounds spicy. Let's see what it says. "I've been working with my realtor while looking at homes and everything was great at first. She recommended a lender, but also encouraged me to shop around. I ended up getting pre-qualified with a lender with a conventional loan, but the rate was higher. So I found a lower rate FHA loan with a broker. Since I chose a broker, my realtor has changed her attitude, giving the broker a hard time with choosing not to communicate with them. And when she does, it is passive aggressive from what the broker has told me. She argues that I have better chances with a conventional loan with the lender she recommended and blames my FHA for our unsuccessful offers, which are 2 so far. I'm starting to question if she's actually right, especially since I know FHA loans have stricter rules. However, I feel her behavior isn't warranted. She should be advocating for me. She should more, even with this loan being perceived as inferior to a conventional loan. I'm unsure if I should let her take the lead with the following her recommendations. After all, she's the expert and I'm not, or if this attitude is unacceptable and I should start the process with ending our contract. Every exchange we have makes my blood pressure rise, but I want to be sure if she's right. If it matters, I wasn't really sure how I got conventional in the first place as my credit is sub 700. This is interesting. What caught my eye on this question here, or what I took from it, was one of the second and last sentence is, every exchange we make makes my blood pressure rise. That's never a good thing, especially when you're buying a home. It's already stressful enough as it is, and so you never want to have that experience. And if you really mean that, every time that you talk to your agent or you have an exchange with them, literally your blood pressure feels like it's rising. That doesn't sound like a fun experience. Now, do you have to use their recommended lender? No. Here's some of the reasons though why realtors have preferred lenders and why they recommend someone, and why she might, kind of be acting a certain way if you chose not to work with her preferred lender. It might be that obviously she doesn't know this other lender that you decided to work with. And if you're in an area like I am in the Bay Area, listing agents, sellers, and realtors want to see like a familiar name on that pre-approval letter. If they see just some online lender or some lender from out of state or someone that they don't know, they're not really super confident in terms of, whether your financing is actually going to go through. So that's one of the reasons why realtors have preferred lenders that they recommend. But even if you did you do have, just like you said, you do have the right to go ahead and shop around and look for other alternatives. And if she's really not acting professional or acting a certain way because you chose to go find a better alternative or solution, then that's not a great experience. And just like someone said here in the comments, it just might be that they're not educated enough in terms of, how to position your offer when submitting offers as a good offer for the seller. Right now, it sounds like you've submitted 2 offers. They've been unsuccessful. And yes, you probably would have a better chance at having your offer accepted with a conventional loan. Unfortunately, and the reason why is because listing agents and sellers, for whatever reason, are trained to think that FHA approvals aren't as good as conventional approvals. Although the process is relatively the same, there are some stickier things on the appraisal when it comes to an FHA approval. But if you have a good lender that you're working with, especially your broker, if you can have them get you fully underwritten and pre-approved on an FHA loan, then that's just as good as conventional financing. It's just a common misconception in real estate, and it's unfortunate that real estate agents or sellers see FHA approvals and they think it's not as good as it might be for, as a conventional loan. So that's what I got for that. I don't even know what I'm saying, but that's the first question. Second one that we're answering is, or this isn't even a question, but I came across this, is remember the housing market from 2005 to 2007? Remembering the housing market from 2005 to 2007 just scares me. Is it just me? Every time I think about buying a home, it scares me to think that some houses bought in 2005 are barely breaking even. I'm afraid history will repeat itself again. Oof. This is interesting. Here's the thing is we no one knows what can happen in the future, right? The market literally can crash tomorrow. No one's an expert. If anyone had a crystal ball, they'd be millionaires, or they probably are millionaires by now, right? The way I try to look at it and what I believe in is if you're buying a home, you can literally buy a home today and the market can crash tomorrow, and you don't have to worry about it if you buy with these 3 rules in mind and in place. 1 is buy within your means. Second thing is buy with the intent to keep the property long term. And then 3 is have some reserves in place. When's the best time to negotiate interest rates? I've worked with a loan officer previously who was wonderful in all fronts, responsive, on top of things, friendly, professional, etc. I'm in the process of buying a house and I'm about to sign the initial disclosure agreement, but checked other places and there are some that are offering lower rates. Now I've only filled out an application. I've only filled out information online and showed them my credit score. The loan officer I worked with had previously done a hard credit pull a few months ago. Should I negotiate with the loan officer now before I sign the initial disclosure to see if he can offer me lower rates, or do I still have the opportunity to negotiate at a later time? So it's a good question. And the answer to this is yes, you can negotiate now. You can sign your initial loan disclosures, but let your lender know that you received a quote from someone else. And I would show it to them and try to see if you can get a better lower rate, or if they could beat it or match it at least. Typically, a lender is going to want to see a loan estimate. So if you filled something out online, it's probably just on a soft credit pull, and it's probably just off your stated income and maybe even your stated credit scores. But I would want to officially apply with someone and get an official loan estimate, and also show that the interest rates are locked. And this is the most important thing, because this is where some home buyers, especially first-time home buyers, get confused. Is you can get offered a rate today, and let's just say that's 5.99, and then with one lender, and then apply with another lender tomorrow, and that other lender has higher or lower rates because of what's happening in the market and what rates have done. So first thing to note is when you're comparing rates or negotiating rates, make sure that you ask all of your lenders, whether it's 2, 3, or 4 of them that you're shopping around, what the rate is on the same exact day. And then the next thing is that these rates really don't matter until you actually have an offer that's accepted. So if you're just in the pre-approval stage, you can get quoted something today, and if you're not going to get your offer accepted till 2 weeks from now or a month from now or whenever, chances are your rate's going to be different at that time depending on what's happening with the market. So I wouldn't, fuzz about it too much at that point. It sounds like right now you're in contract, you're in escrow. So yes, now's the time to do it. And then the third thing is make sure that the interest rate is locked, because if it's not locked and you get quoted something today, that can change tomorrow if that's not locked, depending on what's happening with the market. So it only really matters, when that lender can lock it in place for you and show you a loan estimate that shows you what that is. So good time to go ahead and shop around. Next one is help me make an offer. House has been on the market for 437 days. Holy smokes. It was listed for $715,000, I imagine. They've bumped the price down to $629,000. It's a nice house, 3,800 square feet and 1.8 acres. Nice neighborhood. However, I don't think it will ever sell for that much in the town it is in. Everyone who moves to this neck of the woods wants land, not a house in the neighborhood. People aren't going to spend that much on 1.8 acres. It appraised for $619,000 last year. What's a reasonable offer? So I can't tell you what a reasonable offer in this, but I saw this and I just think this is the value of having a realtor in place. And this is where a realtor comes into place, is they're going to advise as to how much should be offered to be able to, one, get that offer accepted, but also two, get you a great deal, right? Because the property's been on the market for however long. It was listed at $715,000, but now, the price is $629,000, which is a big drop, obviously. It looks like it appraised at $619,000 last year, so chances are it's worth somewhere around the same range this year. But really, it's about pulling the data, right? Pulling similar comparable properties in the area, and your realtor is going to be able to go ahead and do that and advise you and guide you on that. It's not just picking a number out of thin air as a home buyer, or just, this is what I, feel like paying type of a thing, right? Like actually look at data, actually look at what the home is worth. It looks like last year it was worth $619,000. So if I had to pick a number, I'd probably say somewhere in that range, and probably would go a little bit lower since it's been on the market for however long, right? So it's really important to have a good real estate agent on your side that's going to be able to go ahead and pull this stuff in terms of data, but more importantly, negotiate for you, because it's not as easy as it as just, clicking some buttons and telling the seller that you want to buy it for a certain price range. Good question. This next one is housing costs in my area are sitting at around $400,000 for 1,500 square feet. Housing costs in my area are sitting at around $400,000 for 1,500 square feet. On a mortgage with these rates these days, we're looking at $3,000 a month, not including utilities and HOA fees. That's almost 65% of our income. Crazy. That would leave us with around $900 a month for utilities, food, and gas. However, renting the same house in the same neighborhood is $1,900 a month. So that's what? $1,100 less. That's more affordable for us, but we would be renting and not putting any money into an investment. We want to go somewhere long-term, but my wife only works a few days a week because she stays at home with our 2-year-old the other days. So making more money isn't in the cards right now. I'm not too knowledgeable on buying a house and everything that comes with it. Renting sounds like it would be smarter for now, right? I think you're on the right track there. Just based on what I hear, you want to buy because buying is better and owning is better. Yes, I understand that. But you're saying this is going to buying in your area. If this is really accurate, then that's crazy, right? It's going to be almost 65% of your income. That's not a good responsible decision, in my opinion. And if you were to buy with a 65% debt to income ratio, chances are that at some point in the not too distant future, you're probably going to have trouble making your mortgage payment. And then you'd be in an even harder, between a rock and a harder place, in the future. So I don't know that that's a good idea there. And there's nothing wrong with renting. I think a lot of people think, oh, you have to own, you have to own, you have to own. Yes, there's, there are some pros to being able to be a homeowner, and there's a lot of value in that, but it doesn't mean you can't rent for a little bit while you get your situation, in order. Sounds like in this case, your wife isn't able to work as many days as you probably need her to in order to be able to go and make more money. But I would probably try to figure out how to increase the income or increase hours to be able to make more money before you buy, or look to see if you really need a $400,000 home with a $3,000 a month mortgage payment, or if you can maybe find a condo or a townhome or something at a lower price point with a lower monthly mortgage payment that you can get by with for a couple of years. All right, so this next one, also a lengthy one. Mortgage process, new business owner. Hello, my wife and I are looking to buy our first house. We both have exceptional credit, 800 plus, and have done well financially, $100,000 in salary each, but our circumstances are about to change. My wife is buying 50% of a private medical practice. Her income will go from W-2 employee to small business owner. The business itself is well established with 30 years of operation in the same spot. My question is, will the bank now set her income at $0 for the next 2 years as with a situation like commission income? Or are we able to use the business's past income or returns to prove or justify her income, even though it's not income, I guess, if she hasn't owned it during that time? I'm trying to discern if our home buying potential just nosedived for 2 years. It wouldn't be the end of the world, but it would be a sucker punch in the gut to have to wait another 2 years when we're ready now. Yeah, that would suck to have to wait that long. If your wife is buying or is going from being a W-2 employee to buying 50% of a practice, and that's going to be her primary source of income, and she's no longer going to have that W-2 income, then yes, most lenders are going to want to see 2 years of self-employment income history, at least one, usually 2. There are some cases where you can get by with at least 1 year, but if she's just buying it now, you're going to have at least that 12 months of being self-employed and earning self-employment income. Unless, in this case, again, you guys were both earning $100,000 salaries and have good credit scores, unless you can qualify by yourself is one of the solutions. If not, is there a potential where she doesn't leave her job yet and you get pre-approved and qualified and you buy before you end up making any changes to that income? That would be the second thing that I would look for. And then the last alternative, if you can't qualify by yourself with only your credit and your income, and she already bought the business and already left her W-2 income job, is to wait 12 months, and then you'll be able to use what's called a bank statement loan to be able to use some of her income. Or you can use a tax return. Some programs are going to allow you to go and use the 1 year's worth of tax returns if she reports enough profit. But if she doesn't, then alternative financing is going to be able to use a bank statement loan, which means that the bank is going to allow her to use 12 months worth of bank statements. They're going to look at the deposit deposits, and they're going to give her credit for 50% of those deposits and use that as her income. And then you'll be able to combine it with your $100,000 salary or whatever you make at the time to try to go and qualify. So ideally, when you buy a home, just for future reference or for others, you don't want to make this change. You can change income when it's like hourly and you're going to another job that's also going to pay you hourly, or if you're already making commission and you're moving to another job that's going to pay you commission as well. Those you can get by with. When you start making income changes from W-2 employee to self-employment, that's when it gets tricky, and there's some hard cutoffs there where the underwriter usually won't let you use any of the income. And the reason why is most businesses fail within the first few years, right? So the underwriter is going to want to see that your business is actually going to succeed. In this case, if she's buying a medical practice, there was, previous ownership, right? 50% of the ownership was different prior to her coming in, right? So the underwriter wants to see that, hey, with now your wife owning part of that private practice, are things going to continue to operate the same, and are you going to continue to earn the same amount of income? And the way they do that is by requiring that you be in business at least 1 year, most of the time 2 years. So good question. Next question is, do I qualify as a first-time home buyer if I buy solo after a divorce? Don't have an official mortgage, but I was added to title or the deed after marriage. Now I'm looking to buy for obvious reasons. Would I qualify, or since I was added years after she bought the house, paying money back to family, but balance and payment schedule is on papers I signed for the deed update, does that prevent any incentives for me? So this is going to be dependent on the program that you're trying to use. A lot of people want to qualify as a first-time home buyer. What does that mean? You think that there are additional benefits, and to be honest, the true benefit to being a first-time home buyer is that you can put down as low as 3% down, but there are other programs that allow you to put as low as 3% down or 3.5% with FHA, and you don't have to be a first-time home buyer. Now, if you're looking for down payment assistance because you don't have enough for down payment or closing costs, some of these programs are going to require that you be a first-time home buyer, and each program is going to have a different definition of what a first-time home buyer. But the standard definition of someone that's a first-time home buyer is someone that has not had ownership interest in a property in the last 3 years. And in this case, if you are still on title and you're going through a divorce, chances are you still have ownership of that home, and it would disqualify you from being a first-time home buyer for most programs. But again, if you don't need assistance and you can come in with 3% down or 3.5% down, you don't need to be a first-time home buyer to be able to put that little money down. So good question. Next question is, can someone explain the different mortgage loans in 5-year-old terms? I love this. So yeah, just off the top of my head, a few mortgage programs that are out there. One is going to be conventional. Conventional loan program is a program that's insured by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and they allow you to put as little as 3% down. Now, if you put less than 20% down, you're going to have what's called private mortgage insurance on your loan, which means that there's an additional fee that you're going to have to pay within your monthly mortgage payment to be able to offset the risk of the fact that you're putting less than 20% down. So essentially, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac say, hey, this is not a lot of a down payment. We want to make sure you have some skin in the game. If you don't, that's okay, but we're going to charge this extra fee called private mortgage insurance. And if you decide to default on the loan, then that private mortgage insurance company is going to pay us out and make sure that we're made whole if you decide to stop making your payments and we have to take the home back or what have you. So that's a conventional loan program. Ideally, if you're buying a home, you want to go with conventional. If you have the right credit score, 620 or above is typically what is the minimum that's going to be required. But if you're going conventional, you probably want to have like a 740 or above credit score. The second type of loan is FHA. FHA is the FHA loan is a mortgage program that's backed by the federal government, by the Federal Housing Administration. And this program allows you to buy with as little as 3.5% down. You're not required to be a first-time home buyer. This can only be used for primary residences. You cannot buy an investment property with this. And again, as low as 3.5% down, you're always going to have mortgage insurance on this. If you put 3.5% down, it doesn't fall off unless you refinance into a conventional loan. The mortgage insurance with FHA is the same fixed rate regardless of whether you have a 580 credit score or an 800 credit score. And it's going to depend on how much that's going to cost depending on your down payments, but it's going to be the same rate mortgage insurance rate for regardless of your credit scores. Whereas with conventional financing, if you have PMI, that PMI is what's called risk-based mortgage insurance, which means that the better your credit score, the better your down payment, the better your income, the better your loan to value, etc., the cheaper that's going to be. Whereas if it's bad, if you have a lower credit score, the more expensive it's going to be. With FHA, that's not the case. You can have a 580 or an 800 credit score and be putting 3.5% down on a $500,000 home, let's say, and both buyers or both scenarios will have the same mortgage insurance premium there. So that's an FHA loan. A VA loan is a loan that's backed by the Veterans Affairs, and this program is reserved for folks that have served in the military before or currently serve in the military. And this program allows you to put as little as 0% down. There's no mortgage insurance on this type of program, which is super cool. And this is regardless of how much of a down payment you put down. So this is a cool program to also be able to go ahead and tap into. The next one that I'll talk about is a bank statement loan. A bank statement loan allows self-employed buyers who haven't reported enough income on their tax returns and can't use their tax returns to be able to go ahead and qualify for a mortgage. And the way you do that is by using your last 12 or 24 months of bank statements. What the underwriter does is they will look at your bank statements and they will allow you to use up to 50% of the deposits in your bank statements as your income to go ahead and qualify you. So that's another type of program. Another type of program is called the DSCR loan, debt service coverage ratio. And this type of program is an investment property program only. This allows individuals to go ahead and be able to buy an investment property, and there's no income attached to this qualification, which means that as long as the market rents for the property are equal to the mortgage payment, then you're going to be able to go ahead and qualify for that as long as you have the credit score and the down payment requirements. Hopefully that was helpful. That was a lot of questions, a lot of information. As a reminder, I'm a licensed loan officer here in California, and I do these videos to show you guys that homeownership is still possible. And I love working with first-time home buyers that are ready to be homeowners, but don't think they have enough saved to be able to buy a home. Peace.